Hello, I'm Mandy Johnson. I am a yoga instructor here at Central Arkansas Veterans Healthcare System, and I'm also the Health and Wellness Program Manager. Today I wanted to do a little yoga practice with you that addresses low back pain. So many people are affected by back pain. It can be younger, it can be older, it can be somebody that works out and that's very fit, or somebody that really doesn't get moved around much anymore. It can be somebody that works all day but stays seated at their desk and their flexors get really tight because they're always sitting with their legs flexed up. So I just wanted to talk about that. We've talked about the importance in research. Yoga can really help alleviate chronic pain. So I just want to show you some poses that can be used for chronic pain to help alleviate it in unison with other treatment or by itself. I always want to caution you that if you want to practice yoga and do these things, that if you have any severe injuries, slip discs, herniated discs, back injuries, surgeries in the back or neck, always talk to your medical provider first about the safety, and never do any pose that brings pain to your body. That is not the intent of yoga. It's to help stretch and increase flexibility and improve health. So with that being said, if that's the case and you want to try out these yoga poses just to alleviate basic, everyday pain and tightness in the low back, there are some other complementary health skills that you can go seek or learn. Chiropractic care helps with the body and the musculature and flexibility. It addresses all kinds of health issues. Physical therapy helps so much with the movement and the body and those muscles that might be a little bit off balance because if the bones are not in the position that they may be. You can also utilize acupuncture for pain. And Tai Chi has shown great medical benefits for pain as well in movement in the body. And also just basic walking. Just getting out and walking helps keep those muscles moving in the hips and the low back, if you just pay attention to your posture when you're doing that. So those are some things I really wanted to talk about. Low back pain happens for all kinds of reasons. It can be a weak core, those belly muscles weak from always kind of sitting slumped like this, they don't get used. So if you notice in yoga, we always try to have you sit up nice and tall and engage those belly muscles, which will make that back tired pretty quick. Another reason why yoga can be good to strengthen those muscles as well. It can be just posture overall. It can be sitting for long times, and it can be basic injuries. So whatever it is, check with your care provider, and gentle yoga can really help complement trying to relieve low back pain. Let's go over a few poses now for this. Okay, so we're just going to do a couple warm-up poses. I always want to loosen the body up a little bit. So just take a couple nice deep breaths with me, bringing those hands up overhead as you breathe in. Exhale, bring the hands down. One more, nice deep breath up. Exhale, bringing those hands down. And have you take your left ear and bring it to your left shoulder. Extend that right hand out to the side. You'll feel that stretch through the neck a little bit. Just taking a couple breaths. And relax, bring that hand in. We're going to take the left hand out and bring the right ear to the right shoulder. Taking a couple breaths. And bring that head back up to neutral. We're going to bring the chin down to our chest, sitting up nice and tall. Remember, keep that back straight, engage those belly muscles. Always breathing in and out. Bring that head back just a little bit in a pain-free stretch. And then back to neutral. We're going to real quickly do a seated twist. Bring the right hand behind the right hip. Bring in the left hand over that right knee. Take a nice deep breath up and exhale, twist. This is actually very good for the low back as well. When you do any twists, it helps get those GI tracts all moving in your belly, as well as relaxing that low back, giving a nice stretch to all those low vertebrae. We're going to do the opposite side, taking the left hand across the left knee, bringing the right hand behind that, or the left hand behind that left hip. Take a nice deep breath up and turn, bringing that gaze over the back left shoulder, taking a couple breaths here. Last little warm up, we're going to take the right hand, reach over to the wall to the left. And same thing with the left hand, bringing it over to the wall to the right. Trying to keep your bottom planted. And back to neutral. Now, as we go through these poses, it's good to start out with 1 minute holds. I'm going to hold each for about 30 seconds. And as you grow with your practice, you can hold it for a minute, minute and a half, all the way up to 3 minutes to really get the maximum benefit for that low back relief. So we're going to start just by extending those legs straight forward in front. And you may notice if you're like me and you have short hamstrings, it automatically causes a little bit of a pull, which actually has something to do with all those hip muscles attached to that low back. So just take a second to flex those toes back. Still trying to sit up nice and tall with that chest and point those toes forward. Not holding your breath, always breathing. All right, so we've kind of warmed up a little bit. The first pose that I want to share with you it's called Lord of the Fishes, but it's basically a seated twist pose, and there's two ways you can do it. We're going to do the most basic. We're going to take our right knee and cross it over our left leg. You can use your right hand behind your right hip. We're going to take that left hand and come across. So you're twisting that right foot over the top of the left. You're taking that left elbow and hooking it on the outside of that right knee. You're taking a nice deep breath up and you're twisting, just like we did seated a moment ago. And you want to breathe here, don't hold your breath. You'll bring that right gaze over the right shoulder. This helps with the whole spine's mobility. You feel the twisting within your hips, the low back, and even your neck as you turn. And we're going to relax, and we're going to do that opposite side, bringing the foot out, bringing the left foot over the right knee, taking that right elbow, crossing it over on the outside of the left knee. You use that left hand to brace. Take a nice deep breath up, exhale, bring that gaze back over your left shoulder. Now, as your flexibility grows, you can also do this same pose a little bit deeper stretch by crossing that leg in and crossing over still. You get that same stretch and a little bit more, but that's a little bit more advanced. You can start with that leg straight out. From here, we're going to go ahead and get in a tabletop position. Those hands in tabletop are about shoulders width apart. They should fall directly underneath the shoulder, and your weight should be based on the center of your palm, not your fingertips. Those knees are going to be about hips width apart as well. So this is tabletop, but the next position that helps with low back pain is called cat-cow. When you do that, think of a cow in a field. It's mooing, its head is up, and its belly drops. You're taking a nice deep breath in, and then as you exhale, you go into cat, pushing the back through those palms of the hands up towards the ceiling, and then you inhale, drop the belly down towards the mat, raise the head up. Exhale. Cat, pushing that back up. Inhale, drop the belly, raise the head. And exhale. Raise the back up towards the ceiling through those shoulders and those back hips. And relax back to neutral. Again, you'll want to practice these about a minute, and then go on to the next pose, but you want it to be a constant flow. That cat-cow's pose really offers flexion and extension of that back and spine. It feels really good. So now we're going to go into child's pose. This can also be a restorative pose. You open up your knees, but your toes come together in the back, and you simply sit back on those heels and walk those hands forward. Taking a nice breath and relaxing into your mat. While you rest here, if you have knee pain, there are some props you can use. You can use a blanket to roll up and put in the crease of your legs here, right behind your knees, and it helps alleviate that. And there's also a round bolster that can do the same thing, as well as a block behind your bottom so that you don't have to sit as deep. But it's a really nice restorative pose. Now, we're going to go ahead and come on up, and we're going to go into down dog, which is really good here for the low back as well. It stretches those hamstrings and calf muscles. So we're going to curl our toes under. We're going to push our bottom up towards the ceiling, creating a triangle. Now again here, if you have those tight hamstrings, you can bend those knees a little bit and push back on those arms and really stretch the low back. Remembering to always breathe here. If you have blood pressure issues or you're pregnant, you do not want to stay in this position. You can skip this and just stay in that tabletop pose. We're going to go ahead and walk those hands towards our feet for this next low back pain reliever. Here you can bend those knees if you need to, or nice and tall up, whichever your legs allow. Take a nice deep breath up. Let's come to stand. Inhale and exhale. Bring those hands down to heart center. So you can put those fingers underneath those toes. You don't want to stay here long. We're going to go ahead and take that nice deep breath up off of this first forward fold. Exhale. We're going to bring those hands back down one more time for a second forward fold. This time, really let the back roll. Really, we try to keep that nice hinge between the hip. Again, you can bend those knees, or if this is available to you, you can straighten your legs. Take a couple breaths here. This time as you come up nice and slow, rolling up one vertebrae at a time, really letting those back muscles stretch all the way up, helping to really elongate the spine as you come up. Take that one nice deep breath at the top, and exhale, bring those hands down. Triangle pose is the next pose. You're going to step forward with your left foot, pointing straight ahead. The back foot will be at a 90-degree angle off to the wall here. This really helps stretch through the side, down into those hip flexors and the outside hip muscles, and gives some flexibility in that spine. So we'll take a nice deep breath up, and as we come down, we're going to just let that left hand fall, and we're going to reach up with the right hand. If you can, bring in your gaze up towards that hand. If that's painful in your neck, just keep that gaze straight forward. Now you can take this down wherever it's available for you, but just stay in that safe stretch zone for yourself. Remember, you work on where you're at. You can start at 30 seconds in each of these, or a minute, and if you can go up to 3 minutes. We're going to come back up. We're going to bring that back leg in. I'm going to step back and do the other leg. Left leg back at 90 degrees. Right leg forward, pointing straight ahead. We're going to take a nice deep breath up. And exhale, bring that right hand down. Bringing that gaze up towards that left hand. And back up to neutral. We're going to go ahead and bring that back foot in. Take that nice deep breath up. I'll step back just a little and exhale. We're going to do that full forward fold, finding our way back down to the mat. Bend those knees. We're going to walk those hands out, feet back into that down dog. Stretch those calf muscles. You can even pedal those calf muscles out a bit if that's available to you. Really get that nice stretch. And then we're just going to go back into that tabletop position, dropping those knees down, finding them right below our hips. That pedal really helps in those calf muscles to stretch those out as well. So now that we've made it to tabletop, we're slowly just going to walk our hands out and come down to our belly and move into Sphinx Pose, which means those hands are flat, elbows are in nice and tight, but those hands are flat, forearms are down on the mat, and you're just raising up in the back. This gives a natural curve to the back and kind of engages those abs, again, that are very important in holding that posture up nice and tall. If you're a little bit more advanced and this doesn't hurt your back, you can even go into Cobra, pushing up a little bit higher through the hands. Again, don't forget to breathe. That's very important. Don't hold your breath. Whichever pose is best for you in your practice. Sphinx is just that nice place. You really want to pull that chest up and head up, chin up. And we're going to move into one of our last poses. So now that we're down flat on our back on the mat, you'll want to bring those knees up and rest the feet flat on the floor. We're going to have those hands flat by our sides, touching on the mat, grounding into the mat. Bridge pose helps bring an arch to the back. We're going to push the hips up towards the ceiling, raising our bottom up off the mat. You're going to tighten those glutes and those abs engaged. Also, you'll feel those lower back muscles engaging in this pose. This can be restorative as well as engaging and energizing. Always remembering to breathe and hold each of these poses as you move through them. We're now going to relax, drop those hips back down to the mat, and we're going to move into the next pose, which is called figure 4, and it also is referred to sometimes as the reclined pigeon pose if you've ever done pigeon up in the seated position. You're going to take the right foot and cross it over the left knee. This may create enough stretch in that opening of the hip flexor for you, but if it doesn't, you go ahead and you reach those hands through like threading a needle, and you grab that thigh of the left leg and you pull that knee in towards your chest. You will feel a lot of stretch through this glute, through this hamstring, and also through the outer muscles of the hip. Really helping some flexibility and mobility there. All of those muscles around the pelvic girdle tighten over time if we don't keep them stretched out, which is all connected to that low back, that pelvic girdle. We're going to lower that left foot down, unhook that right foot, and of course we're going to do the left foot. Cross it over that right knee, let that knee fall open, grab that thigh on the right side with both hands and bring that knee up towards your chest. You may find that one hip is tighter than the other. My left is always a little bit tighter than my right. You always want to give the stretches to both sides though. Remembering to breathe. And relax, let that left foot come back down, unhooking. Back nice and flat. We've got two more poses here for that low back pain. This is one of my favorite. We're going to go ahead and hug those knees up to our chest. That helps that low back flatten onto the mat. And then we're going to rock left and right. This allows a self body weight massage and really an extension of those muscles in that low back and those vertebrae to curl forward with the pelvis as you pull the knees up. And go ahead and let those knees back down to the floor, feet flat on the floor. Our last pose is going to be a supine twist. And there's a couple ways you can do that. It's much like we did sitting. There's kind of a more advanced one and then a basic. So as you do that, we're going to do the first one, open up those arms so that chest is nice and open. Bring those knees up to the chest and just let the knees fall to the left. Now, if this is too far of a twist for you, you can use the pillows as a prop. I'll use it as we come back to the other side so you can see it better. And then you'll come up and over to the right. See how that pillow helps me not have to go as far to the floor? It can really help you be able to do this stretch assisted a little bit. An additional way of doing this is one knee at a time. Really just stretching one knee over. Whichever it feels best to you. I like both knees. You might like just one. Again, you can use that pillow to help support if you can't go all the way to the floor. And come on back to neutral. The last pose that I like, and I don't have it on my list, but laying here, I think about how good it feels. We're going to bring those feet flat to the floor, widen up the knees. You see me scooting my feet apart? We call it the windshield wiper. So arms are still out. I'm just going to let both knees fall to the right. You feel a nice stretch through this hip flexor. We tend to sit and they get really short. And it also allows some opening in the right hip. We're going to come back up to neutral and over to the left. And just do that at your own pace. You'll feel that stretch down this leg as well. Just back and forth like the windshield wipers on a car. And bring those knees back up to neutral. Go ahead and come up to an easy seated position on your mat. And we'll take a nice deep breath. Exhale, bring those hands down to heart center. And I hope you enjoyed this practice that can help alleviate a little bit of low back pain for you. It can be used in unison with other treatments. Of course, if you're having back surgery, back pain that's really acute, difficult pain, never try this without your provider, your medical provider's guidance. And check out some of those complementary other techniques that can be beneficial for back pain, like chiropractic care, physical therapy, Tai Chi, acupuncture, and just basic walking. Stay moving and stay healthy.